Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's good to be here. It was alluded to a little bit earlier, but I'd like for the parents or those standing in loco parentis, whether you're a grandparent, an uncle, or whatever, would the parents or someone standing in that position who are here on behalf of these students, would you stand so the students can give you the proper thank you that you deserve for providing them? You heard earlier that one of the consequences of governor school is to try to teach an empathetic way of approaching problems, a different way of thinking, an understanding of other people's points of view. You heard a specific real-life story of how that can occur. You injected a little humor with it, but the point was that the result of what you're about to experience hopefully will ingrain in you the idea that you're not always right, or that one point of view is not always the only point of view. You know, that's one of the problems in our society today. We got too many people that say it's my way or the highway. Now, I will, lawyers get a bad rap, and there's a lot of lawyer jokes. I know I'm a lawyer. I got a lot of lawyer jokes in my time. Most of them are pretty unflattering, but I have to tell you that a legal education really does focus on the ability to be able to recognize that analytical thought causes you to consider other people's points of view. In fact, that's how they teach in law school. Except for a few instances of statutory construction or specific rules of law, they don't really care if you know a specific fact. They want you to be able to identify various issues and take different sides to those issues and make logical, reasonable, sound arguments for your position. And the world's that way. The world is gray. It's not always black and white. Yeah, we've got some black and white truisms. There are certain things that are not to be compromised. There are certain moral or idealistic or deep-seated beliefs that you may have that you will stand for without any opportunity for anybody to impede your thought process on that. But for the most part, as you deal with everyday problems, there's usually more than one side to an issue. Sometimes there's more than two sides to an issue. You see, when you start to put yourself in that other person's shoes, when you start to realize you may not be always right, when you start to realize you're not a one-issue person, when you start to think so that you can accept other points of view and then weigh the veracity of who's right and who's wrong, where you can accept different points of view and different areas of input, then you make the world a better place. All you have to do is look at what's going on in Washington, D.C. today. And I'm not casting aspersions on Republicans or Democrats. I'm casting aspersions on all of them. It's all messed up there. If they'd run that place like we run in Arkansas, we'd be in a heck of a lot better shape in America. But the point is, civility and collegiality and the ability to accept other points of view, and if you're going to disagree, to do it in a civil and agreeable manner rather than a hateful and mean manner, is what the country was built on. A democracy is not the most efficient form of government. It's certainly not the prettiest to watch, but it is the greatest form of self-exercise, self-determination, of mankind being able to govern themselves that this globe has ever seen. And America is the greatest experiment in that democracy that's ever existed on this planet. But it takes people who have the ability to do what they suggested, to accept other points of view and then to be able to weigh the validity of those arguments and come down on the side of reason, but do it in a way that's not divisive. To a large extent, You're going to be subjected to that while you're here during this term. Toward the end of this time, we do annually a television show. The Ask the Governor television show, which airs across the state of Arkansas. We normally do at ATN, but during Governor School, we plan one of those. I guess it's planned this time, toward the end of your time here. And so Steve Barnes, you all know Steve Barnes usually moderates that. So we'll come, and these won't be call-in questions. These won't be Steve Barnes questions. These won't be written-in questions from across the state. These will be your questions. These will be things, and some of the toughest questions I've ever gotten were in Governor School. And sometimes I don't have the answer. And you know what the answer is when you don't have the answer? I don't know. There's nothing wrong with saying you don't know if you don't know. Now, there's something wrong with not going and trying to figure it out later. Look it up. So get your questions ready, because in a few weeks, hopefully we'll have a bit of a give and take and interaction that will benefit you. Here's really what I wanted to leave you with, though. I've been in this office 6 years. And before that, I was Attorney General, and before that, I was a state senator. And I constantly get asked the question, what would you like your legacy to be? You know, they have a tendency to want to kick you out before it's time for you to go, I guess. But what you want your legacy to be? Well, why don't you wait till it's over? And I constantly get asked that, and so it's caused me to reflect on how I would really answer that, because up heretofore I've most likely said I'm not sure, or I picked more than one thing. And, you know, a lot of people say, well, maybe it's your efforts to cut the grocery tax, which was the most onerous and inappropriate tax that face our people. And we've come down from 6 to 1.5, and we're not 3, but we do it in a responsible manner. But that's not it. Some people suggest, well, it's guiding the state through the toughest economic times and being one of only 4 states in the country that didn't ever suffer a budget shortfall during the worst recession this country's seen since the Great Depression. And while that's nice, and while that's good, and while I'm proud of that, that's not it. Some people say, well, it's our rise in education standings because we're now 5th, people. 5th in all of America in K through 12 public education. As important as that is, that's not really it either. It's not the jobs that we've created, even though we've lost thousands in this recession. It's not the replacement jobs that we've kind of outstripped our neighbors on. I'll tell you what it is, and I'm going to let you in on a secret, and you're part of my plan. In fact, you're a major part of my plan. I want to leave this state with the kind of self-confidence, the kind of appropriate, not inappropriate, swagger, the kind of self-esteem in our people that makes you, and conversely all the other folks that look at you, that look at us as a state, is saying those folks are special. Those folks know what's going on. Those folks have built a society. They've built. Now, there are going to be exceptions. We're going to fall on our face some. There are going to be folks that don't live up to expectations. There are going to be big bumps in the road. But I want Arkansas. I want to leave, when I leave office, Arkansas starting down the road to say we can do anything. We aren't second to anybody. All that old thank God for Mississippi stuff was generations ago. I tell you, let Alabama say thank God for Mississippi. I want our people to feel like they can do anything they set their mind on and that they don't take a back seat to California or Texas or New York or Florida or North Carolina or any other place in the country, that we can outdo, outperform, out-educate, out-everything any of our sister states in this country. I want our people to understand and to believe in that. That's the legacy that we ought to have. That's not one person's legacy. That's a collective legacy. To a large extent, many of you already think that way because of who you are. There's 400 of you. There's almost that many bright, just virtually as bright as you are, that got turned down in their application process for that school, this school. Now, there's 450,000 students in this state. I don't know how many rising seniors, those seniors to be we have in this state, but there's tens of thousands of them, and yet you're here. You have to take this message. If you don't get this, how in the world are the rest of the folks going to get it? If you don't understand you can do anything, if you don't have that positive swagger, if you don't have that self-esteem and self-confidence. Incidentally, you parents know this. One of the things you try to do with your kids is instill in them self-esteem. I mean, all the books tell us that, right? All the parents want their kids to feel good about themselves, want to instill that self-esteem. That's part of the parental process. Something happens when you get to be 21. They quit calling it self-esteem. They start calling it ego. Well, it doesn't have to be a bad thing. Properly channeled, it doesn't have. It keeps you on the straight and narrow. It makes you perform. It causes you to want to be better than you otherwise would be. And that's what I'm talking about. But I want it to be in the body politic. I want it to be collective. I want our whole state to have this feeling that this is the place to live, to work, to raise a family, to create a business, to leave a legacy. All those other things are good. And all those other things are component pieces that cause us to be proud of Arkansas and proud of where she is and where we are. But see, the big overarching thing is to have that ability to say, we in this state will never back up from or take a back seat to anybody else. That whatever they can do, our people can do better. And you are part of that plan, because in a few short years, you're going to be sitting in the legislature or in the mayor's office. Or whether you're sitting there or not, you're going to be deciding who goes there. Or whether you decide that or not, you're going to be running the bank. Or you're going to be running a law firm. Or you're going to be a physician in a hospital, or a CPA, or most importantly, a school teacher, trying to impart on the rest of our people that same legacy of excellence and opportunity. This is the greatest country in the world. And it's been the greatest country in the world in large part because of self-determination and because of education. And you, as the best and brightest in this next class, have to take the leadership role to understand that this collective effort requires your leadership, your input. You will enjoy these next few weeks, and you will remember them for your entire life. But that's not good enough. You then owe back a responsibility to take the kind of action going forward that builds the rest of the folks around you to be better people, to be more informed, to be more tolerant, to be more engaged in a society that creates opportunity for all our people. You've been given a tremendous gift. Virtually every one of you are naturally talented, and in addition to being naturally talented, virtually every one of you have a great work ethic. Now, there's some exceptions. Some of you are just so bright, you're just lazy about it, and you still make it happen. But most of you are bright and work hard. So add to that a responsibility to take Arkansas to that next level where she needs to be, and that's at the front row in the whole country. God bless you. I hope you have a great time.